best advice I could give parents would be keep going, stay calm, whatever it makes, even if
Hi, I'm Lisa Davis. Welcome to the first episode of the Autism Truth Podcast, brought to you by AutiParent. Today, we'll be talking about how swimming builds strength, focus, and confidence for kids with autism and ADHD. And as an avid swimmer myself, I absolutely love this topic. And I've seen how swimming has helped my daughter, who is on the spectrum and also has ADHD. Now, before we begin with our wonderful guest, I just want to know if you've had a chance to explore AutiParent.com. It is an awesome platform designed to help support autism parents and ADHD as well in Malaysia and worldwide. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. So you can always find me on social media at Lisa Davis MPH. Shoot me a message. Let me know what you think. Joining us now is a fantastic Darshini Balakrishnan. She is the CEO of Swimmin' 12. Darshini is a seasoned psychologist and exclusive sports leader with 14 plus years experience working with children and families, specializing in social, emotional, and mental health, SEMH. I love all those things, and a support for the autism spectrum. As CEO of Swimmin' 12, she leads a swim school dedicated to inclusive education, designing programs that make aquatic learning accessible, safe, and empowering for children of all abilities. Darshini, welcome to the Autism Truth Podcast. I'm thrilled to be kicking it off with you because the water is my favorite place.
Hi, Lisa. Thank you so much for having me on board. Yes, the water is definitely my favorite place
Yes.
as well. And I'm really excited with everything that AutiParent is, and I'm super excited to be sharing everything on with everyone
Well,
on
we're
you
thrilled to
today.
have you. When did you first learn the joy or discover the joy of water and how beneficial it is?
Okay, so I must say I'm also on the spectrum. So I started with the water when I was around 5 years old, and I think that has been my escape ever since. So I started learning by accident, by going to the beach with my family, and then we were exploring the ocean, and I didn't want to have. Being on the spectrum, we don't like things
Yes.
hugging us and holding us. So I didn't want floaties. I didn't want goggles. I didn't want cap. I just want to be in the water, and that's what got me started, and I absolutely loved being in the water. And as the time went on, and I became who I am, and I was working with children in a school. So I worked with an international school for 14 years 13 years, and I had the pleasure of working with children on the neurodiversity
Mm.
platform, and we had all kinds, which really was the best time of my life. And we explored water because I loved swimming, and we explored water, and that kind of just kickstart everything else
Oh,
for
I
me.
love that. My daughter went to occupational therapy starting at around 2, and her occupational therapist had a kind of a summer program at her home, and there was a pool. And I have to say, my daughter did not take to the water well. And I'm like, how is this my daughter? And I'm joking. But anyway, because I'm such a fish. But eventually she got it. And then once she felt comfortable, there was a pond in the town we used to live in. We would go there all the time. And then eventually we got a pool, and it's just so nice. But so does I'm assuming every child is different, right? And of course, there's that expression,
Yes.
if you've met one person with autism, you've met one person with autism. Some people take to the water
Yes.
right away. What do you say for kids who maybe are a little more apprehensive, but to kind of encourage them and their parents to keep going with it?
I think yeah, you've got it right. So once you've met one child, you've
Right,
only met one child, and it's really not just for the kids on the autism spectrum. It's for every
right.
kid. Every child is really different, and for parents who want to get this going with their kid, there's many things that we do in the water. Like the introduction to a pool is massive. We are not only talking about the water itself, but we are talking about the environment. It's a new space, new people, everything is new, and it's scary. Like, I think I would be very scared if I was doing something for the first time. So definitely it's something that it's going to be something that the kids going to anxious about, they're going to be worried about, and parents are going to be as well. The best advice I could give parents would be keep going, stay calm, whatever it makes, even if it's only as much as getting them in the car to the pool to see the place for the day, sitting by the pond or by the pool, or playing bricks or playing something, but just being there is a start. And that would be a big accomplishment, and that's a celebration. Like getting them out of the house to go to a space where it's not something that they're
Right.
comfortable with or they're familiar with. Just do the baby steps, that 1% that makes a difference. Just keep
Yeah,
going.
absolutely. I made the mistake when my daughter was around 6. I signed her up for this program through our town, and it's at this pond where people swim. Well, it was insane. There was so many children. They were all neurotypical from what it seemed, and I immediately was like, I'm just gonna not lose my money because I shouldn't have signed up. So my point is that don't bring your kid to something full of kids who don't get them, and it's going to be awkward. I think having a specific program like you have is so important. Can you talk to us about that? Because I definitely learned my lesson. We
Yes,
left in like 2 minutes. Not for you. She's like,
yes,
"Come on, get me out of here."
definitely. So in swimming 12, so how this whole
Yeah.
program started, so my founder and I, well, he started this first as something that he wanted to do as an
Right.
exercise. So he just wanted to get in the water and start exercising. Thought, well, I'll teach people while I do that. But then we quickly realized that people are actually just afraid of the
Right.
water. The idea of fear is so huge in the neurotypical world that everyone thinks like, oh, I'm not going to swim, or I'm not sure about everywhere else, but in the Asian culture, and especially in the Southeast Asian community, the water is a phobia.
Oh,
So everybody is really scared to get in the water or to swim. The idea of overcoming that fear is huge. And what we did was we started with just addressing fear, and our program is actually designed for adults who have aquaphobia. So we actually designed the first program around fear, and we've identified 17 different types of fear that we can work with and we can help adults overcome. And of course, that then naturally went into the research for children and how we can build a young kids program. And once I started working with special needs, I decided that we needed something for this community, for the
right.
inclusion program, and it needs to be a holistic
Yes.
approach, because we are not only addressing fear, but we are addressing sensory needs, we are addressing coordination, we are addressing emotional needs, both for the child and for the
Right.
mom. And our inclusion program is designed that way. So our very first class or first approach is just getting to know the child, because every child is different. What works for one kid never works for the other. So we kind of build our program around what the kid needs. We have a routine, we have a standard framework that we want to do with the kids. There's like 4 quarters to how our program goes. So the 45 minutes is split, so the kids never bored, they're always doing something. But then there's also a lot of flexibility for the coach or for the child to pull back and to explore other things on the same day. All our coaches are also trained. So our program, we have our own
Oh, wow.
certification. So all our coaches are trained for 120 hours.
Wow.
Yes, it's a lot.
Great though.
It's actually a degree program, and they actually train to become a coach.
And
And
I
that's
would love
just becoming a swim coach.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. And once they have qualified as a newly qualified swim coach and they have about 3 to 6 months experience, then we give them special needs training. So what are the other things? Because now you understand how to coach a student who learns to swim, because that itself is a big dimension. Then we start teaching the inclusion side of things, working with emotions, gross motor skills, because we need to talk about OT, for example. What are the different exercises the kid
Mhm.
might need, leg rotations? Yeah, those kind of things come into play, and that's how we design
I
our
love
program.
that. Now, how does swimming specifically help children with autism and ADHD, like build the strength compared to other sports? And do you find that sometimes it's easier? I know with my daughter, and this is again, all autistic children are different. She definitely has some issues with coordination. And so if you throw a ball at her, she's like kind of moving out of the way. I was the same way, and I'm not on the spectrum. We just don't like getting balls, thrown at us. But I'm just curious, like, how does it compare, and what have you seen in terms of actual strength development? And I would think an increase in confidence too.
Are amazing. I think we are able to actually really touch multiple dimensions of learning for a kid on the spectrum. um, the very first thing is the coordination, because we are constantly working on cross
Yes.
lateral. There's a lot of focus on coordination. The kid has to move the right, the left. That whole thing itself, it's a big improvement for the child. I've had kids. I had a child with spinal bifida, and I know this is something that you would think, how, but this is probably one of my biggest case
Oh my God.
study, where this child came into our center, where the father used to carry the kid. There is a lot of working with us, and also there are therapies, and the parents worked very well with us. And we just did a lot of aquatherapy, like a lot of muscle movement in the water. The kid had a little bit of sensation in his lower body, not as much, but needed a lot of carrying for
Mhm.
mobility. But he was able to start moving in the
That's
water,
nice.
just moving the legs, and then he came in with a walker, and months later he's like running down the pool, the entrance, with his
That's so
walker. So
nice.
things like this really impact, because water is a place where it's kind of lessen
Oh,
gravity, the
definitely.
gravity force is low, and there's a lot of repetition. We keep repeating the
Yeah.
exercise, the mobility. It kind of goes into their memory as well. I have kids on the spectrum who comes to class, and they kind of know what to do. Right, Miss Dashi, what am I doing today? All right, exercise, 1 2. So they keep going with the left right activity. So it helps them with their memory, it helps them with their coordination, it helps them with their focus. I had a boy, Braden. I mean, if he's going to be watching this, Braden, you are a highlight. And he was a non-verbal, extremely is afraid of the
Mm.
water. He had the experience of falling into a pool,
No.
severely traumatized. Autism kids love the water, but they don't sense the idea of danger, so they don't know when it's safe, when it's
Sure.
dangerous. So he's fallen into a pool, and the only thing that he would say was, "There deep." And Braden started lesson with us. He had his own issues, own struggles of coming into the pool, but eventually he got in. We started doing the program. He was exercising, he was swimming, he was doing his own thing. He even joined a competitive program. And the highlight was, he went on during the whole episode of
Hmm.
COVID in Malaysia. We were really affected by this. So we had a lockdown for
Oh
almost
my
2 years.
goodness.
And it was really hard to do therapy with these children, to keep them on the program, to keep them swimming. But Braden picked up music, and he was able to follow the instructor, and learn to play the violin, and he went on to play with this philharmonic orchestra. And that
Wow.
journey started through school, because of the ability to listen, to follow instruction, to take orders, to do what you need to do, to be able to follow a sequence of instruction. Most of the time, when you first start, especially if you're on the spectrum, instructions are received very
Right.
small, so you get like very little. So maybe you are able to follow one or two, and then you start adding up 1 2 and 3 steps. Then you add up 1 2 3 4 steps, 1 2 3 5 steps, and then you keep adding the list of instruction. And this boy is reading
Oh
music.
my gosh.
He's playing, and I cannot say how much this really impacts. I wish I could do a research on this, and I hope to do it one day, to really have science backed
Right.
data. But definitely, swimming helps autism, not just with coordination, but with focus, with attention span, with gating and following instruction, memory, sequence of doing things. And it's almost like the water is like a weighted
Yeah.
blanket. It weighs them. It's a whole different
Yep.
sensory. Once they adapt to it, they love it. And this is just the beginning. We are also talking about social
Oh,
skills, because we always start with all our program for our inclusion. It's always 1 to 1, and we start off with one student per coach, and you get all the things going. But the idea is to get them to a group setting where they can go for group
mhm.
lessons, and that is itself is like a huge key for socialization. Not only interacting with your coach, but peers, making friends, talking, meeting others, doing things
Yeah.
like every other friend. Yeah, those things, it's just
That's
magic. I
huge.
just love
That is huge because
seeing
I
that.
know with my daughter, making friends was difficult. Now, when she was younger, it was a little easier, but as they got older and she was still into like imaginative play and much younger, interests, right, than her friends, she started to stand out and
Yeah.
be kind of ignored, basically. And I think if you can go to somewhere where you meet kids that maybe have some similar interest or some also might miss some social cues, and then you feel, oh, that's my friend, and that confidence to have that friend is huge. So I think this is amazing, right?
Huge.
The other thing I wanted to bring up
Yes.
is with ADHD, you need to move. And of course,
Yes.
I think about Michael Phelps, who's, an Olympic swimmer, who
Yes.
everyone talks about, oh, he has ADHD. And I'm assuming it really helps him. So talk to us a little bit about people with children with ADHD and swimming as well.
Okay, so in the world of ADHD, there's also two different aspects. So you can have the
Yes,
hyperactive ones, those who are really full of energy and just bursting. They are the ones that run first to jump in the pool and get going, and then we also have the ones that are really not very keen on moving too
right.
much. They prefer more sedentary, more calm manner to how they want to present themselves or do things. So parents usually need to push them quite a
Right.
bit. For both of this, I think swimming finds a good balance. For the kids who need the energy, you're going to be doing sets. You're just going to be in the pool, movement after movement after
Right.
movement, and you're going to do them in an order. So you get a space where you're shining, you're
Yeah.
excelling. Nobody is curbing your appetite for
Yeah.
doing things, and you have the energy to do it. So that's great. And oh, the amount of pleasure and winning moment and the confidence that they get, because these are kids that they get hold back in
Yes.
classes and in school and in any other sport like running or athletics or anything else that they're doing. These are the kids that get hold back quite a bit, because you need to follow a certain
Yep.
process, you need to sit down, you need to listen, and there's a lot of regulation to do. Whereas in the pool, it is an individual sport, because once you get into it, it's you and the
Right.
pool lane, it's the tiles, it's the water. So all they need to do is their sets. So as much as we have everything else going on, this is really a place for them to shine, and they can really go ahead and explode in any way that they want. So that really helps these children. For the kids who are more sedentary, or the other end of the spectrum on the ADHD, they would benefit by actually moving.
Right.
So most of the time they'll get the label like slow learner or lazy, or things like this usually are tagged with these kids on the spectrum. And then what this does is give them a place where they can comfortably
Mm.
explore and do a certain amount of routine or an exercise. And well, they're excelling as well, they're moving at their own pace, they have something to chase, and they're winning. Whatever that they're doing is enough to celebrate. So I think it's brilliant to have both this spectrum come in the water, and you can actually give everyone what
Yeah,
they
I
need
think so
to
too.
excel.
Now, I know from my personal experience with my daughter and then with friends that have kids with ADHD and autism, sometimes executive functioning is tough. Have you noticed if any of those skills have improved
Yes.
after swimming?
Yes,
Oh,
drastically. Again, it goes back to because of the cross lateral working,
yes.
and usually kids on the spectrum have high um, needs when it comes to executive functioning, whether it's sensory or whether it's memory, whether it's processing skills. Usually, they have a little bit of a higher need. Um, in the beginning, this is something that they all struggle with, but as they progress through, you're going to see, like I mentioned, coordination
Right.
improving. You're going to see memory, so they know when they come to the pool what they need to do, what do I need to
Yep.
get. One of the things that we like to do at Swim in 12 is we give them a social story, and we kind of build on that. So the kids actually have a book about them coming to school for swim lessons, and then these swim lessons keep progressing. So they are already prepared with what's coming next, and they love it when there's an upgrade in the book. So there's a second story coming up that they are the star. So that improves their reading, that improves their memory, because they are prepping before they come to
Right.
classes. And this then translates to their daily life. So for a kid who can actually follow instruction in the class, like when you come in, so one of the things that we do is greeting. So I greet you, you greet me, and we take a bow. Okay, let's get our equipment. Now we get to the pool, we do a bit of warm up. So they get this whole structure of routine that they need to do. And that in the classroom is the same. So when you see your teacher, when you enter a class, class, you greet the teacher, and then you sit down, prepare your day for a lesson. So there's just small things that accumulate that helps them build their confidence, help them build their sensory, gross motor skills. uh,
That's
Plenty.
great. You just mentioned
Plenty.
sensory, and one of the things that my daughter experienced was
Yeah.
she was so overstimulated by everything. When the wind blew on her face as a baby, she would cry. If we took her to the grocery store, she'd be up
Yeah.
all night crying. She couldn't. It's like everything was being thrown at her. I don't know if you ever saw that
Yeah.
wonderful movie about Temple Grandin with the actress Claire Danes. There's a scene where she's in college and she's in the dining hall, and I highly recommend it because it really, like, every clank of everybody's fork is so loud, every sensation, everything. And that's how my daughter was. And she's 21 now and in college, and she's doing well. Still struggles with things, but
Yay!
definitely doing well. But,
Well
you know,
done.
used to wonder, like, if we did too much exercise in one day, it would do the opposite. People go, "Oh, did you just get her tired out?" No, it makes her more hyper, more
Excited.
overstimulated. Do you find that that the water environment kind of is calming? If a
Yes.
person, especially if a kid tends
Yes.
to, the more they do, the more they are wired.
Get
Yeah,
stimulated. Yes. And I think it's both ways. So yes, the water definitely acts as a calming stimulant. For me, I always imagine it to be like a weighted
right.
blanket. So when you get in the water, you get all this water pressure pressing you around your
Yeah,
skin. It kind of just holds them in and calms them. It's a feeling that they can experience
right.
this. And being on the spectrum, it's very
Yes,
calming for me. I think the first time I did swimming, it was like out of this world experience. Like, I
right.
love just being in the water. And when I did scuba diving, it was even
Wow.
more memorable. It was like, whoa, it's so quiet. It's just me and the water and the fish, and I can be here forever. So I think this is the kind of feeling that we actually are able to give the children on the spectrum. So they do get a feeling of calmness, of sereneness, and you get to sense yourself inside the water. Everything is
Yes,
quiet. You only hear you. You hear your bubble, your breathing, your heartbeat. So everything else is shut down for a bit for the overstimulation. However, we also have kids who get stimulated by actually just coming to the
right.
pool. So maybe the lights in the pool is too
Mhm.
much, too bright, or the water itself is ticklish, or they're
Right.
hypersensitive, they're very tactile. So we do have cases like this as well, and we need to kind of have a very slow exposure. Maybe dimming the lights, or having really private class when there's nobody around, or having just a limited amount of water play, and then doing other things outside, building motor skills. So there are different things. For those kids who get super stimulated, we also need to do a tone down at the end of the
Mm,
lesson.
okay.
So we need to make sure that at the end of all the hype and celebration and swimming, then we get them to calm down. It's time to go home, and this is where the routine
Okay.
comes. So we have a start, a warm up, and then a finish. So we start introducing them to the finish cycle. Like for swimmers and the competitive team, it will be the last lap, or warm down or cool down. So this would be like cool down for the kids as well. Like, what do you do to bring your heart rate down?
Right.
How to calm yourself down, blowing some bubbles 10 times, whatever you need to do. And then this is how we wrap the day
I
up.
love
So it does help calming them down. But there also needs to be some kind of support to help keep
that.
that
Right.
going. Because yeah, sometimes activities, just like what you mentioned, drives them off the hall. The more they
Yes.
do it,
No
the
one
more
understood.
you
If
kind
one
of
of her
have.
neurotypical parents said, "You should just bring her to the park," I'm like, Please don't ever say that to me again, because it's very complicated, as you know. Now,
Yeah.
my thought is, or I go to thinking about the water temperature. I'm wondering, is it a little
Mm,
bit warmer? Because if it's too cold, my guess is that might distract them. They have to keep moving. Or do you think you don't want it too warm,
yeah.
because then it's going to make them kind of lag if you're swimming in a 90-degree pool? Where do you keep this? Might be of interest to anybody else, but me as a swimmer, I'm like, where do you keep your cold
I'm
stuff?
actually really curious myself. I've never really done one with a water temperature, but we've got pools. Most of our pools are an outdoor pool, so it's naturally heated
Oh,
by the sun,
nice.
and the water temperature is really nice. It's warm and it's comfortable. It's around 30, 29 to
Okay.
30. It's very nice, warm pool. But we do have pools that's indoor or a little bit more secure, where the water temperature can be really quite chilly. So it can be somewhere around 15 to 16, and both
Okay.
works. I think sometimes we would want them to be in a colder pool, just to shock the system a
Sure.
little bit, give them the sense of refreshment. And you want them to be a little bit uncomfortable, so you can also learn how to regulate. Regulating is a big need when it comes to special
Right.
needs. Although in the beginning we wouldn't recommend somewhere that's very cold, we want them to be somewhere warmer, so the temperature, that whole thing is eliminated. But eventually it's something that we do want to introduce to them. If you go to the beach, there are thermocline, like there's current, so there'll be parts of the beach where you walk and it's suddenly
Yes,
chilly, and they need to learn to
that's true.
adapt. If there's going to be a place or a time where everything is super calm and super ordinary, then you don't have experiences. So these are things that we do need to
Mhm.
introduce. But whether what temperature really is effective, I
I
don't
was just
I don't
curious.
know. I've never done the
Yes.
research. But yeah, it's something that we could
Yeah,
research
I mean, I
on.
was thinking comfortable. You don't want to be too cold, you don't want to be too warm.
Yeah,
Right.
I think if it's a bit more warmer body, room temperature would be comfortable enough for them to be in.
Right. Now
Yeah.
let's talk a little bit about emotional regulation because I know that can be tough for kids with autism and on with ADHD. What have you seen? Have you seen maybe a kid come in that was really overstimulated and maybe screaming or crying a lot and just feeling completely discombobulated, and then they go in the pool and it's like, I think I can imagine your answer from what we've been talking about.
Yes. I think yes, emotional regulation, or in general, I feel like there's this hidden curriculum for everybody to regulate your emotions and how to be. We need to act a certain
Right.
way. And yeah, we can have children who are coming in, especially on the very first time, where they struggle with emotional regulation. There's just so much
Right.
happening. And I think the best thing that we can do is try to eliminate as many as possible. So having that social story really
Yes.
helps. Sending the parents who the coach is going to be and what are they going to be doing for the first
Yeah.
session, so they've read the book with them, they understand what's happening. That kind of eliminates this anxiety of meeting a stranger. Also, like, if we know that this kid is light sensitive, then we wouldn't want to have the class during the
Sure.
daytime. We want to have it in the evening. We don't want to have too bright of a pool light. Those things that we can control, we can control. Goggles is a it's a usually it's a alarm for kids on the, and they find it really hard to regulate the emotions and tell us that it's making me
Right.
uncomfortable. Swimwear, label, tags, these are things that we can control, and we try to eliminate as many as possible as soon as we
Right.
can. Eventually we would introduce them to a proper swim cap. We'll introduce them to goggles, maybe by 1 second, or putting it around your neck
Right.
to start with, leaving it there, and then 5 seconds, 10 seconds to actually having it on for a minute. Yeah, things like that we can control. But the things that's really difficult is when the kid is a non-verbal kid on the
Right.
spectrum, because there's so much going on and they can't express what you do. This is where I feel the instructors come into play, because they can't tell you what is
Mhm.
wrong. They can't regulate their emotions, so it's now we are the experts who need to help them regulate the emotions, not heightening the sensation or getting them to feel less or more, but just understanding. A kid that's screaming and crying is probably just having extreme fear of what's
Right.
happening. So probably just sitting down with the child, just doing things quietly can
Yes.
help. Playing with a puzzle, or knowing beforehand the kid likes to play a certain thing or is interested in cartoons, so we can talk about things, look at an iPad or
That makes so
something.
much sense.
um, and that's how we want to regulate their emotions, especially in the pool. And accidents happen too, so sometimes they might need the
Right.
toilet and they don't know how to express. So halfway through the class, they might be screaming or shouting or pinching, and you know, trying to say that I need the
Mm.
toilet, and I need it now, because they're not going to say I need the toilet. It's like, now I need it now. And this is where the instructors need to be really aware and catch it on, and then, okay, let's take a toilet break. Let's go down. Let's sort yourself out, and then we come back. So emotional regulation, I think, in the pool it's a lot.
Okay.
It's not just one small bit, and it's a team effort. It's from the parents, it's the coaches, and of course we try and build it with the kids. Eventually we give them words to identify. We have cue cards that we show them. I'm trying to look around if I have them lying around, to show, to show them, and just see if it works for them. How can we help? How can we do this? How can we help you regulate your
I love
emotions?
that.
But on the whole, they learn that. They learn how to express, and I think that's a big win, and that's a
Have you
celebration.
heard from any parents who says things like, wow, before I brought my child here to swim on a regular basis, they were A, B, and C, and now this is stronger. Their emotional regulation is better. Their executive functioning is better. They're more coordinated. I'm guessing that you have, and that must feel so good.
Yes, yes. Oh, yes. And I think that's what keeps us all going and keeps me wanting to do
Right.
more and wanting to create more, and really bring this out and advocate for this program to be more effective, for more people to understand what we're doing. Yes, plenty. I think one of my recent case was I had a visitor from the States. Actually, he was on a holiday here, learned about our program, signed up, and this boy, he loves the water, but he's very afraid of anyone or working with
Mm.
people, and he doesn't talk to anyone. So he started with us, and they were here only for 10 days. So the boy started with us, and he was smiling, laughing. He was interacting with his parents and the coaches, and the parents were like beyond happy on, my child's actually talking and he's sharing and he's happy coming to the pool. And this is the small examples that make us go and keep going and do what we
That
want
is
to do.
fantastic. Darshini, is there anything that we didn't touch on today that you were hoping we would talk about before we end? Because you've been delightful.
No, I think I'm good. I'm really happy to be here and being able to share. If anybody wants to reach out to us, and if they want to ask us more question, or if you have a kid and the kid is struggling, be it a parent, be it a tutor, be it a coach, anyone that's interested in learning more, or you want to know more on how to help, do feel free to drop us an email. You can drop an email to swimming12@gmail.com, or go to our website www.swimming12.com and reach out to all of us. We'll be more than happy to help
Awesome. Can
out.
you spell that? So I think people might accidentally write swimming, but it's swim in, right? S. Yeah.
In 12, yes, because swim in 12 means that we guarantee that we can teach you to swim in 12 hours, or
Wow.
with
Oh my gosh. How did I
automatically
not ask
teaching
that?
kids.
That's women 12. That's incredible.
Yes, that's how we came up with the first project. And that's for people, for adults who have severe fear of the
Right.
water. And that's how we developed the whole program to start
I
off with
see.
swim in
Okay.
12.
So swim in 12. Is there a website as well?
Yes,
Great. And it's just
www.swimin12.com.
1, 2 for 12. Okay. It's not spelled out. That is
Yes,
fantastic.
one,
Again,
two.
Darshini Balakrishnan, you are fantastic. This has been so great. Everybody, keep
Thank
coming
you.
back to the Autism Truth podcast. I'm absolutely thrilled to be hosting it. And also make sure to explore AutiParent.com. I'm very excited and this is going to be great. Everybody, thank you. Have a great day. And let's all go swimming. That sounds really good right about now.
Yes, see you.
Thanks so much.
Bye.
Bye bye.